Not only the Shame of the Rational Trader, it is Friday evening, pretty late. What day is it? It's the 25th. And we are so 3 weeks into the ES here. This is the sim. In fact, let's look at the actuals first. So this is live trading the last 3 weeks. All right, so we're going to review this, and I ran a sim here. You can see because I'm struggling a little bit with differences in live trading versus the data that you get afterwards. So when you request the data to use for, in this case, machine learning training of the model, you get all the data, but in real time you don't get it all, right? Because it can come late. If it comes late and the bar's already drawn, then it doesn't get included. And so what I'm seeing is some differences. So there's a couple things to review here. So let's just get going, and then we'll talk about that. So this is the first week here, and then the second week is right there. Only one trade that week. We're going to talk about what's going on there. And then this was this week here. All right. So the first week, the gain's okay, 437. But the number of trades is way too high. So over here, number of trades, this is actually the number of contracts that were traded. And since there's 3 per trade, you divide that by 3 to get the actual number of trades. Now, sometimes it doesn't divide evenly because you don't always get completely filled. All right. So this was, 3 trades, but one of the trades only got 2 contracts. This one was 7 trades. This is too much. Too many trades. 5 and then 9. I'm sorry, 2 trades and then 3 trades here. All right. So I didn't like that. That's more trades than I want to take in any given day. And so what I did is I adjusted that. I tuned the model to be a little more selective, and then implemented that for the following weeks. I like, and you could see a fairly dramatic difference here. The next week has a different issue we'll talk about, but then like this week, one trade, basically one trade a day for 4 days. There were no trades on Thursday. All right, so that's been done. So for members, you may have noticed I mentioned in the weekly update that the file name of the model had changed. That's when the adjustment had occurred to tune the model differently. Okay, so then last week, I only got 1 trade off on what is that, Friday, on 1 day. And the reason is related to differences in time. So I have the screen here showing here to explain this. So if you look on screen here, let's see, right here. That's where we get the signal, okay? And so we place an order 6 ticks, and that's a long. And we place the order 6 ticks off of this level right here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's right here. That's really right. Is that right? No. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, that's right. Okay. So the order gets placed right there. So in this case, we got filled 1 level down. And what's happening is that when you place an order, you have to make a decision about, well, when should I cancel the order when have I decided that I'm not going to get filled, okay? Or when have the conditions changed such that I don't want to get filled anymore, okay? And what we do is we specify how many bars. So once I place the order, how many bars can draw before I cancel the order. All right. And so we did have it specified as 2. So that would have been 1, 2, and then you cancel the order. All right, so you would expect to still get filled here on this one. All right. And because this bar, the bar number 2 is drawing while the price threshold is crossed, so you'd expect the order to get filled there. But what I was seeing happening is the order's canceling after this bar instead of after this one. Okay. And the reason is that when we place an order, there's no concept of the bar in that order. The order just says, place an order at this point in time, place an order at this price level. Okay. And so what happens is I place the order. Okay. That's me placing the order. And then that actually goes to the broker's computers. And the broker computers does what it does, and then it sends it to the exchange. And the exchange does, it does its work. It does its work. And what comes back is an acknowledgement that goes to the broker's computer. And then the broker sends it back to us. Okay, so the point here is that time is passing. Now it's quick, all right, but it's still time, all right. And so when we get this acknowledgement back here, what the computer system here has to do is, figure out, which bar does that order belong to? Because again, you place an order, there's no information about the bar in the order. It's just a time. And so what we do is we look at we examine the bars, and we figure out, which bar contains the timestamp in this order, and then that becomes bar number 0, right? So if in this case we want the order to show up as, okay, it's in this bar, then this becomes bar 1, and this becomes bar 2. All right. But what actually happens is there are times when the either enough time has passed here, or there are differences in the clocks between my computer and the exchange computer, such that when the order acknowledgement comes back to my system here, it's not in this bar, it's in this one. Okay. And so I end up off, actually. Actually, it's worse. I actually sort of explained that a little bit wrong. We want to count. What we do is when we place the order, this bar here has finished. All right. So we want the order to come back and be found that it was placed when this bar here was drawing, this one right here. Okay. And then this becomes bar 1, and this becomes bar 2. Okay. But what ends up happening is sometimes it comes back and it finds the order belongs to this bar here. All right, just because the timestamps are messed up. All right. And so between time passing and between differences in the clocks, we end up finding the wrong bar for the order. And so we start counting wrong. We start counting here as 1, and this becomes 2. And so as soon as this bar here finishes drawing, as soon as that bar finishes drawing, the order cancels, which is too soon. I don't want to cancel the order there. Okay. I want 2 full bars to draw. All right. And so there's no simple solution there, because the nature of the differences in the clocks is I can't solve that problem because I don't have any control over the exchange of the broker computers. All right. They all have to be getting the time from the same place, and they're not doing that. All right. And so the answer is, I just need to adjust the system look for one more bar. So these cases where this becomes bar 1 instead of the correct one, I'll just count one more bar. And so what that means is I'm looking for 3 bars now instead of 2. All right, so the way for members, just as a reminder, the way you do that is in this very first study, order management, you're just going to change this value here, bar still cancel, from 2, which is the default in the chart book, to 3. Okay, and by doing that, you solve this problem. You do introduce another problem because there are other cases where you're counting an extra bar that you really don't want to, but there's really sort of no other solution there. Okay, so that's that issue. So you can see, and in fact you can see the result of you can see the result. We went from just 1 trade this week to back to a normal amount here. So there are times when the system is really sensitive to the fact that the clocks are off, or just the way that the bars draw, and when they're finishing versus when the orders are getting placed. Okay, let's see. So let's see. All right, now the last thing is the differences I'm seeing between live conditions and simulated conditions. Now, the simulation is important because that's the data that gets used for model training. Okay, so and what we want is you want to train on data, and then you want the same parameters for that data coming in, so that when you do the prediction, it matches. Instead, what I'm seeing is there are differences in the real-time data versus after the fact data. Now we knew this. We've seen this in the commodity markets, but it wasn't quite as big a problem as I'm seeing here in the ES. And I think that's a function of the fact that the ES has a much greater volume. And so if you look at here, this is the live trading here. The gain for the week was plus 50, plus 162.50, plus 37.50, and plus 50. So basically, you had 1 day where there was no trades. That was Thursday, and then 3 days where you took 1 trade and hit first target, and that was it. And this day here, you got 1 trade where you got a little bit of a run. And so, but the question is, well, what does that look like, in simulation or using the data that the model trains on? And so I ran a simulation, which you can see up here. And so you'll notice this here is ESZ9. So that's the live trading. If we go to sim, that's going to show us, the results of this simulation run. And you can see actually there's a fairly big difference here. In fact, let's snap that so we can look at both of them at the same time. All right, so that's that one. And now let's go back over here to ESZ9. All right, so, and what we see here is that, let's do this here. Yeah, there we go. And you can see, 50 instead of 220, this is 225 here, right? Whereas here it's just 50. And then 350 versus 162.50, so double. A loss, $100 loss here in sim versus live trading, actual 37.50. And then 75 versus 50, so not too bad here on Friday. In terms of number of trades, you can see what's going on is that you're getting an extra trade-off in simulation, which you're not getting in live trading conditions. So that's a difficult problem to deal with because I have no way to collect real-time data and use it instead of the loaded data after the fact to to do the model training. So I think I'm just going to monitor this and see what how big of an impact that is. On this particular week, it's it's fairly significant, right? This is, what is this? It's 550, which is a pretty nice return on a small account. But in live conditions, it was 462.50 to 7, so it was 300. So that's still a decent amount for not having to do anything, just turning the system on. But that's a significant difference between the two. I suspect that will work in both directions, which means for this particular week, you were able, the simulation shows extra trades where you turned a profit. It could easily show extra trades where you took a loss. So it might just come out in the wash. I don't know. We have to keep running live to see what we get and comparing it to sim in order to understand how significant that is over the long haul. Okay, so that is it for this update. Again, for members, you want to change your order management study to be bar stochastic of 3 instead of 2 for the ES. Okay, it should stay the same for the commodity markets. All right, that is it. Take care.